Now on CoastTV News.
Big changes coming to Delmarva. The hot and humid weather gives way to the potential for flooding this evening, and then much cooler weather heading into the weekend. I'll talk about timing and impacts coming up next.
District 20 debate. With less than a week until the special election for the Delaware House seat, how voters have another opportunity to learn more about the candidates.
Cannabis countdown, one day away from the expected opening of Delaware's recreational weed market, where state officials got an early look at a business in Milford.
Delaware helping in Colorado. We look at how crews from the first state are working to contain wildfires out west.
This is CoastTV News Today.
It is July 31st, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
It is July 31st.
Oh my gosh.
The final day of July.
I cannot believe it.
We have one more full month of summer. That's all that remains.
My question for you is, when do you think that summer ends?
I try to milk it.
Do you go by the calendar? The 22nd?
It's late September, yeah.
Yeah, that's usually what I think, but I do love fall, so I wasn't sure if you were like September 1st, we're done with summer.
No, I try to push it way into
Summer never ends in Matt World.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. Well,
we should all live in Matt World, Bob.
We should. Good morning, Bob. We're going to talk about these temperatures that have been hot.
Sometimes I feel like I'm living in Matt's world. Good morning, guys. I feel like summer winds down when everybody's going back to school. Days are getting shorter, starts cooling off a little bit. We do have a flood watch in effect. This goes into effect a little bit later on this afternoon to this evening. We have the potential for very heavy rain as we go into this evening. I'll break that down more coming up a little bit later. Out the door, we're in the mid to upper 70s, 80 in Rehoboth right now. So it is warm, it is muggy with temperatures in the 70s. Winds are coming in out of the south and they're mixing the atmosphere up. So the air quality has improved a little bit, but we're seeing some clouds back to the west, but there's a front to our north and west and heavier rain across the Midwest. That'll be dropping in as we go through the overnight hours. Futurecast this morning, we're in the 70s and then 80s, and then it's hot, near 90 by noon. Could see a few pop-up showers and maybe some gusty winds and heavier rain as the winds pick up this evening, and then the heavier rain really moves in as we go into the evening hours. This could cause some flooding potentially in some low-lying areas, but ahead of the rain, we're looking at feels like temperatures this afternoon, 101 to about 104, even mid to upper 90s along the coast, but it's a last really hot day, maybe a spotty shower storm this afternoon, but a better chance of heavier rain tonight than a big cool down. Really looking good into the weekend. More on that coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thanks, Bob. Our top story this hour is getting to know more about the candidates vying for the District 20 House seat in Delaware. A forum is taking place tonight in Milton. This is for Democrat Alana Berry and Republican Nikki Miller. And this comes as early voting is now underway. That special election is set for August 5th. According to organizers, the forum is 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Milton Elementary School. Now on your screen right now is a map of District 20. This is the area that we're talking about. It covers Milton and parts of Lewis, Harbison, and Georgetown. It is home to approximately 23,000 registered voters.
Early voting in that special election continues today. If you are a registered voter in District 20, these are the times the polls are open. Now until August 3rd, early voting schedule is 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and there are only 2 locations for voting. Those are Lewis Elementary and Mariner Middle Schools. Election day is August 5th with polls open that day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So let's level set here. This is how we got to the point of needing a special election. After months of getting little information from Democratic leaders in the state over her absence at Legislative Hall, Stell Parker Selby resigned from her District 20 seat in June, citing health issues. In 2024, she won re-election to a second term, but failed to show up in Dover when the General Assembly convened in January.
The Pony Swim may have come and gone, but the celebrations are not over yet. Happening today, it's the Pony Auction. According to officials, it raises money for the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company and veterinary services for the ponies. It also serves as population control. This year's auction begins at 8 a.m. with a viewing starting at 6 a.m.
With recreational weed sales in Delaware set to begin, some officials got a first-hand look inside the state's marijuana industry. Governor Matt Meyer toured First State Compassion in Milford. He also met with a few Delaware Tech students enrolled in the school's new cannabis industry training program.
As best we know, this is the first program in the state of Delaware, and so just like any other program, when there's a need, we respond to it in the workforce by partnering with the employer, designing curriculum that fits the need, and then producing graduates who can go out and work.
After facing many delays, Delaware's recreational marijuana market is expected to open tomorrow, August 1st.
Happening tonight, some key pieces of Dewey Beach's resiliency plan could move forward to the town council. The town's Climate Change Commission is considering getting cost estimates for the plan's action items and how to pay for that. Also up for review, possibly expanding the use of beach replenishment funds and drafting an ordinance regarding storm reconstruction measures.
New this morning, Delaware firefighters on the ground in Colorado. They're helping to contain a massive wildfire that burned tens of thousands of acres. According to the Delaware Forest Service, the Turner Gulch fire, that's near Grand Junction, is at 54% containment. It was earlier this month the service sent a newly built wildland fire engine and firefighters to the state for a 2-week stay to help with that situation.
In Georgetown, several car crashes damaged police memorials at the Circle in 2023. After that, a local committee was formed to prevent it from happening again. As CoastTV photojournalist Matt Hipsman shows us, the committee is closing in on real change.
Our main points today was discussing the placement of the monuments for Chief Gregg and Officer Spicer due to the fact that they've been struck multiple times.
We want them basically out of the direct line of traffic. The design of it has been set, and that's not an issue. So it's simply just where we can put them where they won't be damaged.
So I think we want to make sure that we're doing what's best for the town and what would make the families happy.
We're asking the architect, the landscape architect, to come back with a rendering so we can present it to town council. We've come up with a suggestion for where to place the monuments that will hopefully keep them from being damaged and enable people to enjoy them and remember our fallen heroes. We really love Georgetown, we believe in Georgetown, and we want to do what we can to make it the best we can, and that's it.
We've all come together and I think we're agreeing on what we think is best for the safety and what's going to keep the circle beautiful.
Happening today, BB Healthcare's top executive answering questions about a new emergency facility planned for Sussex County. Dr. David Tam, president and CEO of BB Healthcare, will host this session. Organizers say it will focus on BB's proposed emergency department in Millsboro, and people can attend the event from noon to 2 p.m. That's at the Millsboro Town Hall, or they can watch live on Zoom.
We are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. The clock is ticking down to Friday's August 1st trade deadline deal.
Yeah, that as the announcement of some frameworks and several more remain unresolved.
NBC's Alice Barr shows us while critics are warning the president's tariffs could weaken the economy, the White House is celebrating some strong economic news.
With just hours to go until President Trump's Friday deadline when hefty tariffs kick in for global trading partners that haven't reached a deal, the president announcing an agreement with South Korea for billions of dollars in new U.S. investment and 15% tariffs on goods entering the U.S., lower than he'd threatened but sharply higher than in recent years.
It's literally trillions of dollars ultimately being brought into our country. We're now negotiating with various other countries, and the rest we're just sending out the bill.
Among the countries getting a heftier tab, India, slapped with a 25% tariff plus an additional import tax penalty for buying Russian oil amid the war on Ukraine. And then there's Brazil, hit with a 50% tariff that has many American coffee shops reeling and weighing price increases.
It would only be by cents because we don't want it to be where it's too much for the client.
That risk for tariffs pushing prices up, making the Federal Reserve keep interest rates steady. Rather than the rate cut President Trump has been publicly pressuring for to boost the economy.
We have no inflation, and we should, and we're very strong, and we should be lowering the rates.
Inflation ticked up slightly in June, but has trended downward overall this year, alongside low unemployment, strong market growth, and now word that after shrinking at the start of the year, the U.S. gross domestic product grew, a better than expected 3% this spring, with outlook for the months ahead still uncertain. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And we're just getting started this morning on Coast TV News today.
Yeah, coming up, better bike visibility, the increased efforts to promote safety in Ocean City.
Also, accessibility progress at state parks will show you how a new grant is helping all Delawareans experience what the state parks have to offer.
But first, Mayor Memories, the nonprofit celebrating 25 years of rescues and rehabilitations in Delaware. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
There are so many unique things along the coast of Delmarva. Take our waters, for example, where we have marine animals, sea turtles. And in this week's Coastal Connections, reporter Emma Aiken introduces us to an organization that has spent the last 25 years protecting those things right here in Delaware.
Flipping through memories. And there is a lot of them for Suzanne Thurman. She's the founder of the Marine Education, Research, and Rehabilitation Institute. Most Delawareans know the nonprofit as MARE, and MARE is celebrating 25 years this year.
It's been a really wonderful and heartwarming journey.
That journey began from Thurman's love for animals and the environment. Back in 1995, she was volunteering for the state and recalls a moment that changed it all.
I remember rescuing that seal and I thought, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and it just really resonated with me, and I'm very fortunate I found a way to be able to do that.
4 years later in 1999, Thurman and a loggerhead sea turtle crossed paths. The creature, cold and stunned, had no resources in Delaware at the time to help her.
So I had to bring her home and keep her alive in my laundry room overnight, and that not ideal for her, but I tried to keep her moist and comfortable, and I remember she had barnacles all over her shell and they were clattering because they were out of water. She served such a big purpose because I could see how much these animals needed care right away, and how many of them could be saved or at least ease their suffering. And also document them.
That sea turtle rescue inspired the start of MARE, having no idea it would shell out to more than 5,000 rescues over the last quarter century, including whales, dolphins, porpoises, seals, and sea turtles. But Thurman says you just can't save every one of them. That's why prevention through education is so important.
The legacy that I do want for this community is our education center. And that will be such a resource here.
Thurman says she couldn't have done the last 25 years without the community's support. And she's proud to say that MARE's had more than 500 volunteers.
I love knowing that we're in this community, and that I know that we've had so much support, and that support will just continue on and on. I don't see people all of a sudden not caring about these animals. So it's a wonderful partnership.
Thurman explained that being on call 24/7 certainly doesn't come without its hardships, but as she reflects on the pictures that weave together MARE's 25 years, she's reminded of what's important. What's been work for MARE has been a life saved for many of the coast's cutest creatures. For Coastal Connections, I'm Emma Aiken.
Time is 5:17, and we're checking out the live early morning scene in Rehoboth Beach. Just a hint of the sunrise there, Bob. I saw you moments ago. You're busy tracking conditions that are triggering a yellow alert situation, but that is for later today.
Exactly, Matt. That is later into this evening where we have that potential for flooding. And you can see the QR code right here. Focus your phone on that, and that will bring up the Coast TV weather app. And you want to stay apprised of the weather this evening, because here's the excessive rain outlook. Now, we do have a slight risk of seeing maybe over 2 inches of rain across much of Delmarva. And then you see this red area. This is a moderate area from D.C. to Baltimore and Dover and Philly. They could see perhaps 2 to 4 inches of rain up there, maybe some urban flooding. But for us, not as bad. And it's been so dry and hot, I think the ground will be receptive to the rain. But definitely some of it could run off this evening, causing some flooding and then improving conditions as we go into tomorrow. There is a flood watch that goes into effect later today and continues until 6 a.m. Friday morning. This means conditions are favorable for flash flooding all across Sussex County, back into Salisbury, Ocean Pines, Fenwick Island, and the Eastern Shore as well. So be vigilant this evening if you're out traveling. And that flood watch also extends back into parts of Virginia and into southern New England as well. And even a heat index continues, a heat advisory, I should say, across North Carolina. It's going to be another hot day, mid to upper 70s out the door, 80 in Rehoboth right now, 76 in Millsboro, and it's muggy as well. And we have a southerly breeze, not blowing all that much, but it's mixing things up enough that we're not seeing air quality issues as we're looking at pretty much partly cloudy skies right now. A few clouds moving through D.C. and Baltimore. There's one cold front to our north, and that'll start to sag to the south. But the heavier rain is still back across the Ohio Valley in the northeast, and that will be settling to the southeast with time. In the meantime, chilly high pressure building across southern Canada, and that will head our way into the weekend, bringing much nicer weather. But as we go through today, it's warm and muggy. By 12:30, we're seeing some pop-up showers and storms. Highs near 90, and that'll be the case this afternoon. A few spotty showers. Then the real heavy rain starts building in this evening. 9:30, Seaford back through Ellendale. Watch for the potential for flooding as that slides to the southeast. But I think it's moving, and that's a good thing. And we're looking at the heavy rain across Maryland, and then we're starting to see drying conditions behind this by 2:30 with cloudy skies. And then by 7 a.m., northeast winds start picking up. We're going to see lots of clouds tomorrow, but it'll be much cooler by afternoon. Low 70s, and those winds gusting perhaps 20 to 30 miles per hour in the evening hours, and temperatures in the 60s. That's going to feel cool. And then we're going to clear it out as we go into Saturday, and a gorgeous Saturday on the way, mid to upper 70s, much lower humidity. But look at this potential for rain. Some areas seeing in excess of 2 inches of rain, like Ellendale, Milton, Millsboro, as we go through the evening hours. So watch for flooding, especially in those low-lying areas. And we're looking at feels like temperatures this afternoon as hot as 104 as we're looking at the muggy meter, very humid, and then we're into that comfortable range as we go into the weekend with high pressure over the top of us and comfortable dew points. 90 in Harrington today, 90 in Millsboro, and then 91 in Easton, Vienna, 90 degrees, and then Salisbury, 90 and 89 in Ocean City. Watch for a pop-up storm. The heavier storms this evening, Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 76 Friday, and then lower 80s into the weekend. Delightful overnight lows, wow, low 60s, maybe upper 50s into the weekend, and then that nice weather continues into next week. Congratulations to Jody Burns from Frankfurt on winning a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
Thank you, Bob. This morning, 3 people are facing felony drug charges after a search warrant revealed illegal items in Georgetown. That's according to Delaware State Police. On your screen, this is the Savannah Road home troopers searched on Tuesday following an investigation into suspected drug activity. Now, during that search, 18 people were detained. Troopers say they found over $700 in suspected drug money, a small amount of crack cocaine, and dozens of prescription pills.
A road closure in Long Neck is almost complete. On your screen right now is Chief Road. That's currently closed between River Road and Oak Orchard Road. According to DelDOT, the closure is expected to end tonight at 6 o'clock. Crews are working on underground utility work at the intersection of Norwood Lane, including installing new pipes, a manhole, and isolated valves.
Delaware State Parks taking a big step forward in accessibility, and this is thanks to a new grant. More than $240,000 for the expanded use of all-terrain wheelchairs, known as track chairs, across several state parks. These rugged chairs are battery-powered and built to handle sand, gravel, and even trails, allowing people with mobility challenges to experience areas that were once out of reach.
I think that if it's not coming to be available everywhere, it definitely should be, and it should be on everybody's priority list just to get people outside and being able to just hang out outdoors and all kinds of people. You know, I think that's awesome.
Chairs are free to use and can be reserved online. Denmark officials say it's just the beginning of a more inclusive outdoor experience for everyone.
Up next on Coast TV News today, better bike visibility, how Ocean City Police say you can stay safe while you ride in town. Don't go anywhere. Coast TV will be right back.
Delmarva has declared a blood emergency. Now, what that means is that the blood supply has fallen below a 2-day inventory. Blood Bank of Delmarva is asking for community help. The organization will host a blood drive in Millsboro. It takes place at the Indian River Senior Center on August 28th. That's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and people can sign up online. They must also bring an ID to donate.
Ocean City Police took to the streets to increase bike safety. These are pictures of officers handing out free lights on Wednesday evening. This comes as Ocean City's fire department is calling for safer habits on Coastal Highway. Paramedics say serious injuries from e-bike and scooter accidents are piling up. Police say people can stay safe by using lights in front and behind your bike or scooter, wear reflective clothing, ride with the flow of traffic, and watch out for cars and pedestrians. And one good thing that Bob said is the sand might not be as hot today, and that's quite a relief for people going to the beach.
Yeah, and most of the swim advisories that we've been reporting on now lifted. What we need, though, I've been pushing for this one, that jellyfish tracker.
Yes.
It's like a little thing that scans.
Yeah, app for your phone. Yeah.
Matt, you would need one because it seems like you're most afraid of them.
Yes, boogie boarding.
I don't like them.
I can tell.
I think that fact's been established.
I know, it has been very much so. Let's go ahead and take a look at the beach forecast. Ocean City and Fenwick Islands today, mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures into the 80s, maybe a late afternoon shower or thunderstorm. And Lewis, your storms could start as soon as noon, so keep that in mind on the ferry ride up to Cape May. Rehoboth looking at mid to upper 80s. UV index is high, rip current threat is low. Cambridge, you could see some storms as we go into the afternoon and evening hours, mid to upper 80s. And then Crisfield, similar conditions. I think you too will see storms. In fact, we could be looking at heavy rain, flooding potential as we go through this evening, and then much cooler into the weekend. I'll have your full forecast coming up in the next half hour.
And after the break on Coast TV News today, Water Worries Weekend will tell you what Denmark is saying about a swim advisory for one beach in the nation's summer capital.
Also, Pony Penning Week continues. We'll tell you about the festivities still to come in celebration of the Chincoteague Pony Swim.
And candidates' questions ready. What you need to know about a forum for the District 20 special election. Coast TV News today. We'll be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
Big changes coming to Delmarva. The hot and humid weather gives way to the potential for flooding this evening, and then much cooler weather heading into the weekend. I'll talk about timing and impacts coming up next.
Special election square-off, the latest opportunity taking place tonight to learn more about the candidates running for the Delaware House District 20 seat.
Ending advisory when Denmark says it expects to see safe bacteria levels at Deauville Beach.
Bidding begins. After the pony swim, what you need to know about the next event in Chincoteague, the pony auction.
This is Coast TV News Today.
July 31st, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
It is 5:31 a.m. I got to get a shout out to Lewis's Mason Fluharty. He got his fourth win of the season pitching for the Blue Jays yesterday.
That's incredible.
He likely did it in front of family and friends because that game was against the Orioles at Camden Yards.
And he's a Cape Henlopen graduate. They are just an MLB powerhouse.
They are a pipeline to the bigs.
That is exciting. Well, we're going to switch over from baseball to weather now. And Bob, we've been experiencing some really hot temperatures, but relief is on the way.
Yeah, we haven't exactly been hitting a home run, so to speak, with the weather lately, if you don't like hot and humid weather. Last day for that. We could have a flood potential this evening with a flood watch for pretty much all of Delaware, all of Delmarva, as we go into this evening. Potential for heavy rain then, but not this morning. It's warm and muggy and dry, mid to upper 70s out the door, even 80 in Rehoboth, 76 Millsboro and Georgetown. Very muggy conditions in the 70s, so it's a very juicy atmosphere with a light southwesterly breeze. We're dry across the peninsula this morning, even back into D.C., but there was a cold front lurking to the north and west and even heavier rain lining up now from Ohio into New York, and that'll sag to the southeast and give us a threat for maybe some flash flooding as we go into this evening. But going through the morning, some clouds, some sun, hot and humid by noon around 90, and we could start to pop up some isolated scattered storms in the afternoon, maybe some heavy rain, but the heavier rain builds in this evening with that flood potential, which feels like temperatures ahead of that front as high as 104 degrees. I'll have more on the flood potential and a cooler weekend forecast coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
Thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour happening today. Get to know the candidates vying for the District 20 House seat in Delaware. A forum for Democrat Alana Berry and Republican Nikki Miller is set to take place tonight in Milton. A forum for Democrat Alana Berry and Republican Nikki Miller, like we mentioned, is set for tonight. This comes as early voting is now underway and that special election is set for August 5th. According to organizers, the forum will take place from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Milton Elementary School.
Yeah, the early voting is continuing today in this election. Here's some information about each candidate. Miller is a longtime educator, former Cape Henlopen High School principal, and she told CoastTV she hopes the experience she gained from past elections will better her chances in this special election. Alana Berry founded the Brian Allen Stevenson School of Excellence. That is a free public charter school in Georgetown. Berry has experience in Dover working on policy and budget under former Delaware Governor John Carney.
The pony swim may have come and gone, but the celebrations are not over yet. Happening today, it's the pony auction. According to officials, it raises money for the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company and veterinary services for the ponies. It also serves as population control. This year's auction begins at 8 a.m. with the viewing starting soon at 6 a.m.
Nearing the end of another swim advisory for the Delaware coast, later this afternoon, DNREC is expected to lift the remaining one. That's for Deauville Beach. This is the beach between Rehoboth and Henlopen Acres. The advisories were specifically for fecal indicator bacteria. DNREC says that can come from various natural and human sources, storm water, pet waste, even trash. According to DNREC, the advisory is set to end at 4:30 p.m.
Happening tonight, some key pieces of Dewey Beach's resiliency plan could move forward to the town council. The town's Climate Change Commission is considering getting cost estimates for the plan's action items and how to pay for that. Also up for review, possibly expanding the use of the Beach Replenishment Fund and drafting an ordinance regarding storm reconstruction measures.
1 day away from the start of recreational marijuana sales in Delaware, on Wednesday, Governor Matt Meyer toured First State Compassion in Milford, getting a behind-the-scenes look at how the cultivation facility operates. Meyer also met with a few Delaware Tech students enrolled in the school's new cannabis industry training program.
U.S. officials are continuing to investigate after a U.S. Navy F-35 fighter jet crashed in Central California on Wednesday. The crash happened around 6:30 near the Naval Air Station Lemoore. Fire and thick black smoke rose from the crash site that's around 40 miles southwest of the city of Fresno. Officials say the pilot was able to eject safely and was taken to the hospital.
We're now getting a live look at Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump set to rewrite the rules of global trade just after the clock strikes midnight tonight.
And that's when his pause on a list of tariffs is scheduled to end. He calls them reciprocal duties, saying he's tried to set the rates based on trade deficits.
Amy Kiley shows us the rush to nail down rates ahead of tonight's deadline.
I think the trade deals are working out very well, hopefully for everybody.
The Trump administration is doling out trade announcements hours before a list of new tariffs is set to begin. President Donald Trump is announcing a 15% duty on South Korean imports. He says it'll be 50% for Brazilian goods if that country won't end the trial of a former president accused of attempting a coup.
It's hard to make concessions on that area, and I'm sure the government is not going to make them.
Trump also is doubling down on a 25% tariff on imports from India.
Trump is frustrated about their lack of willingness to open specific markets to U.S. producers, and he's also very frustrated about their continued purchasing of Russian energy.
Some analysts say it's hard to assess the latest trade news because details are scarce.
We do not know the full effects of the tariffs yet.
U.S. businesses have to pay Trump's tariffs when they import affected goods. He wants foreign producers to help foot the bill, but many say they can't afford that. In some cases, U.S. companies could buy from domestic producers instead, but that also could increase their costs. Several say that leaves them no choice but to raise prices for American consumers.
Higher tariffs have begun to show through more clearly to prices of some goods, but their overall effects on economic activity and inflation remain to be seen.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
And we have a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up on CoastTV News today, Dogs and DJs will show you how the event at the Wicomico Humane Society.
Also, it's the last week of USSSA Softball Championships. We have some of the key games that took place on Wednesday.
And double dedication in Dover will show you the celebrations as 2 more families now have a place to call home. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
5:40 on this Thursday morning, 78 at Lewis on the Irish Ice Cam. Just a few cumulus clouds out there, but it's dry, warm, and muggy this morning. 76 in Georgetown and Millsboro, 80 in Rehoboth, 74 in Willards. A little bit of a southerly breeze. It's going to be the last hot and muggy day as we go through today with a mix of sun and clouds. We're looking at dry conditions just to our west, but a cold front to our northwest will increase the chances for showers and thunderstorms, maybe flooding conditions into this evening. Here's your golf forecast for today. I put it into the good category as it's going to be hot with some storms later on this afternoon and especially this evening. So watch out for that. Feels like temperatures as high as 103. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone for your latest forecast. Sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalis, Federico.
2 families in Dover commemorated their new homes this week thanks to Habitat for Humanity. The organization held a double dedication ceremony on South New Street, commemorating the Armstead and Waller family homes. Habitat's home ownership program helps families achieve this dream by building their own home with staff and volunteers. CEO Tim Bailey says it means a lot for the family and everyone who have been working toward this day.
It's just a very important and exciting time for both families, both single moms, both have incredible stories, have overcome a lot of adversity to achieve homeownership, and just couldn't be happier to share this day with them.
Since its founding in 1990, Central Delaware Habitat for Humanity has built and renovated 90 homes, housing more than 400 adults and children.
Delaware Division of Public Health is offering back to school and DIAA sports physicals at clinics across the state next week. In Kent County, the clinic is Wednesday, August 6th at the Riverwalk State Service Center. That's in Milford. Sussex County, it's happening Thursday, August 7th at the Adams State Service Center in Georgetown. And in Newcastle County, they're holding theirs on August 7th in Newark at the Floyd Hudson Center. To learn when each clinic will open and if appointments or insurance are needed, head to our article on CoastTVnews.com.
In Delaware, Governor Matt Meyer just signed a new law to boost safety for student athletes. It requires all school coaches to be trained in CPR, first aid, and how to use defibrillators. Schools also need to have clear emergency plans and working AEDs to all athletic events.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Good morning and happy Thursday. We've got softball, we've got playoff basketball. Start your morning off today with some USSSA for breakfast. It's the Delaware Heart 16U taking on the Force 18U in pool play at the Eastern National Championships in Salisbury. We'll start in the top of the second. Jay Wood is going to rope a single through the right side of the infield. Peyton Dansby comes home to score and make it 1-0 Heart. Next, Kaylee Bradley bounces a single through the 5-6 hole. Savannah Little comes in to score. The Heart double their lead. Now it's 2-0. We go to the bottom of the second. Check out this play. Olivia Caputo is going to take a ball high, but no one's holding the runner at second, so Anne-Marie Stella is going to take off for third, slides in there safely. So later in the at-bat, Caputo has to deliver, and she does. Shoots a single into left field. That is run manufacturing at its finest, but the Force would still trail 3-1. So we go to the bottom of the fourth. Last chance for the Force due to time limit, and Josie Schultz is going to ground that to short, and that would be the ball game. Final score 4-1 as the Heart get the win. But don't forget, we also have playoff basketball for you. Yes, even in the summertime here on DSN this week. The action begins on Thursday at 6:15 with the semifinals between Top Cut and the Laurel Dogs. Then championship coverage begins at 7:30 on DSN. Kayla Santiago and Ian Nicholas on the call for both games. You certainly won't want to miss it. That'll do it for sports. We'll have more sports tonight. Have a great day, everyone.
And here is what's coming up tonight on DSN. You just heard about it. 6:15, there's the Maryland Supreme Boys Basketball League. And then at 10:30, catch the final score. And on the DSN Plus, along with that basketball game, at 8 o'clock this morning, there is more from the USSSA Eastern National Softball Championships.
All right, get a taste of football before the season starts again tonight at 7 p.m. You don't want to miss a minute of the Hall of Fame game. Watch as the Lions take on the Chargers right here on Coast TV. Plenty of people are being talked about as the next big screen 007. Now, one rumored choice is saying not so fast. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Taron Egerton played a sharply dressed British spy in Kingsman: The Secret Service, but that doesn't mean he wants to play the British spy. Egerton tells Collider he is not looking to be the next James Bond, saying, "I don't think I'm a good choice for it. I think I'm too messy for that." The 35-year-old actor added, "I think there's so many cool, younger actors who would be great for it." Cinema United and the Cinema Foundation want you to take that special someone to a movie. They've made Friday, August 22nd, date night at the movies, with 2-for-1 concession treats and other discounts at thousands of theaters. Go to atthemovies.co for more info.
Architecture is just a way to think about how we live. When we design something, we design the behavior for people.
Enter the world of legendary architect and designer Michel Delucci in Architecton. He and director Victor Kosakowski take us through the materials that make up our habitat and ask how we'll inhabit the world of tomorrow. Architecton opens in theaters Friday. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
If you're having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up right now for free at coasttv.com and get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday.
Live look at Ocean City on the DryTech cam. We're seeing some clouds, but it's dry, mild, and muggy, but big changes coming. Hot and humid weather today gives way to the potential for heavy rain and maybe flash flooding this evening, and then a much cooler, almost taste of fall-like weekend on the way. I'll have your forecast details in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:49 and we are taking a live look outside at Ocean City this morning. And Bob, we don't see the sunrise just yet. That sun's been pretty brutal the past couple of days, though, with those really hot temperatures, but we are getting some relief.
We are, Elisa, and you can see the branches on those bushes moving a little bit. We're getting a bit of a breeze, so that definitely helps in a couple of ways. It makes the air quality much better, and it just makes it feel generally better overall. Excessive rain outlook. We have to be careful this evening. We do have a yellow alert for the potential of seeing flash flooding as we go to the evening hours. So make sure you scan the QR code right there and download the Coast TV weather app to stay apprised for that potential this evening. An enhanced chance of flooding from D.C. to Baltimore and Philly. They could see in excess of 4 inches of rain in some places this evening. For us, we're in the slight risk, so I think that means about 2 to maybe 3 inches. I think the ground will be very receptive to the rain since it's been so hot and dry, but still err on the side of caution traveling this evening as those chances of heavy rain go down considerably tomorrow. I think it's just cloudy and cooler tomorrow, but we have a flood watch all across Delmarva, including Sussex County, Bridgeville down to Gumboro, Long Neck, Fenwick Island, and Dewey Beach. This flood watch goes into effect at 2 p.m. It continues until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Also Salisbury, Whaleyville, back towards Ocean City. You're in this watch, as is the Eastern Shore as well. But once again, a higher chance of seeing flooding along the I-95 corridor, where they also have flood watches in effect. Out the door this morning, 76 in Millsboro, 76 in Georgetown, Ocean City 77, 78 Indian River Inlet, and those dew points in the 70s. Still very humid air as we have a southerly breeze today. And we'll be looking at a mix of sun and clouds. That's what we have in place right now. We're seeing some more clouds moving in from the west, but nothing in the way of precipitation. I think we're dry through the morning hours, but a front just to our north and west could trigger a few spotty showers this afternoon. And then we're seeing the heavier rain across the Ohio Valley. That'll be settling in with a stronger front, giving us a potential for heavy rain this evening. And now we have a big chunk of high pressure to the north, a lot of cool air across Canada, and that'll be settling in across the northeast just in time for the first weekend of August. A beautiful weekend on the way. 70s and low 80s this morning, quickly warming up with a mix of sun and clouds. Could see a few pop-up showers and storms as soon as noon, and they could continue into the afternoon. But the heavier rain builds in this evening around 9-10 p.m. Here comes the heavy rain. Watch for flooding, low-lying areas, poor drainage areas as well. You see that heavy rain from Berlin up to Dewey Beach. And then as we head into Friday morning, it does quiet down. It dries out, and then the wind shifts to the north. We're looking at cloudy skies and a much cooler day on Friday. This model has us barely getting out of the 60s. I think we're in the mid-70s, and then into the evening, a northeast breeze and cooler 60s on the way, and then we clear it out into Saturday morning and looking beautiful with temperatures in the 60s, and then into the afternoon, just outstanding weather with mid to upper 70s on the way. Some places, once again, could see in excess of 2 inches of rain, but about 1 to 3 inches of rain is what I'm expecting across the area. Not everybody will see that 3 inches. Ahead of the front, feeling like 101 to 104 this afternoon, and we go from very humid to very comfortable as dew points dip into the 50s this weekend as high pressure settles over the top of us with a welcoming cool down. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast. We have that yellow alert this evening for that potential of heavy rain. Otherwise, 76 Friday, much cooler than lower 80s into the weekend, and overnight lows very comfortable into the low 60s. Wouldn't be surprised to see some upper 50s, and then still staying cooler than average as we go into earlier next week.
Some familiar voices from our local radio traded the mic for the spotlight last week, and all for a good cause. Paula from 93.5 The Beach hosted a comedy night at the Dream Big Performing Arts Center in Del Mar to benefit the Humane Society of Wicomico County. Steve Mons of Big 107.7 and April Brilliant from Coast Country 103.9 and The Duck stepped up for their stand-up comedy debut. The show raised nearly $1,000 for the animal shelter. And the time is now 5:53, and we're going to check in with your coastal pet of the day.
And today's coastal pet of the day is equipped with some useful skills. On your screen, that is Chopper. His family says they love their slobber machine. At least that's their words, not mine. Chopper was submitted to us by Tim and Sharon in Fruitland.
Oh, we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
That's where that QR code is. You can scan that, get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
The time is now 5:56, and we are going to take another look at your forecast before you head out the door.
Yeah, we got several hours remaining of that heat and humidity, Bob.
We do, and it's one more day of that heat and humidity. Then we see a potential for flash flooding this evening, and then a big cool down. But ahead of that activity, we're up near 90 this afternoon. A bit of a southerly breeze, some pop-up storms possible this afternoon. Then that heavier rain builds in this evening with that flash flood potential. Watch for that. That's why we have a yellow alert. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, cloudy, much cooler on Friday, 76, and looking gorgeous into the weekend. Low 80s, sunshine, and a few more clouds Sunday, and comfortable low 60s, maybe some upper 50s as we go into Sunday and Monday. Just beautiful, and then nice as we go into the early to middle part of next week. Looks like our next rain chance comes on Thursday and a high of 83.
Thanks, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, matchup in Milton, how voters can learn more about the candidates running in the controversial Delaware House District 20 special election. That story and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.